225 inches from nose to tail, a long, sleek beauty, driven by a dynamo that could go from 0 to 100 at the drop of a hat, and faster if she was provoked. Her name was Matilda, not the car, but the force of nature that propelled that badass Buick down the road like she owned it. And there was not a man or a woman alive who would tell her that she didn't own the road. She was the oldest of 6 children born to my grandparents in Newark, New Jersey. They were recent immigrants, came to the United States in 1910. She was born in 1913. And when my grandparents came to the States, they were following their American dream that said, if you worked hard enough and you got a good education and you believed in the Lord, then you could be anything that you wanted to be. So my grandparents raised all of their 6 children to those ideals, and Till was the first of them to go to high school, first in the family to graduate high school. She was an outstanding student. She worked hard for her education. She worked hard in everything she did. And when she graduated, she could have easily gone to college. But for the fact that she graduated in 1930, it was the beginning of the Depression, and she was a woman. So college was never on the table for Till. Instead, she decided to pursue her dream as being a career woman. She would get a job. She majored in business, and she took a job with an insurance company in Newark, New Jersey, and accepted the position in the secretarial pool. It was a station that was well below her pay grade. She was capable of much, much more. But again, it was 1930. It was the Depression. A year into that job, she had a decision to make. Her mother, unfortunately, became ill and died, and there was no one to take care of the six siblings. So Till could make a decision. She could either leave the job and take over the family, or she could continue to work and try and make the family work as well. Well, you know what the decision was from the theme of this meeting. She decided that she could both work and take care of the family. She was the one who would make it work. So she, using her managerial abilities, delegated all the responsibilities for the household to her brothers and sisters, who would cook, who would clean, who would take care of the laundry and everything else, while she worked day in and day out to bring in what little income she had. She managed the budget for the family, and there's a story about how far she could stretch a dollar. She knew the meaning of money. And my father once remarked, Till was so tight that she could squeeze a nickel and get 2 dimes out of it. Her frugality is noted, and it's something that has been passed down through the generations. So she continued to work and put off her personal life until most of her brothers and sisters were in their teens. And in 1939, as the country was coming out of the Depression, she found time to court a man, a gentleman from West Virginia, who had similar goals in mind. He was working in New Jersey because there was no work in Appalachia, and he was sending all the money he made back to West Virginia to support his family. They had a son 2 years later, and marriage fell under pressure because her husband kept insisting that they go back to West Virginia, and she just could not stand to leave her family. So they separated in terms of a divorce, but Till would never use the word divorce. It was against her religion. So she was separated. She never dated nor married again, but she took it from the late 1940s into the 50s, where she became literally the matriarch of the family. She played a key role in raising all of her nieces and nephews, and I think by my count there was 26 of us spread across the 5 sisters and brothers. And she played a great role in our lives. She had one saying that sticks with me to this day. And it was said in jest initially that she once met Albert Einstein. And she went up to him and she says, "Hey, Cookie, I've read your theory, and I need to know a little bit about it because, right now, it's so very general. I mean, you say that everything's relative. Now, that's good for most people, but really, is that the best you can do?" Well, that stuck with me because there were many times when she would come by my house and catch my brothers and sisters or I doing our homework. She'd look over our shoulder, she'd pick up the paper, and she'd say, "Hey, Cookie," that was her term of endearment. She said, "Hey, Cookie, that's good enough for most people, but really, I see what you're doing here. Is that really the best you can do?" And that was the type of influence that Till had on all of us. She retired in 1969, became a very active member of the family. We always saw her every weekend with the brothers and sisters. Okay. And the one thing that I started out to say was that the car was 225 inches from nose to tail. It was a 1969 Buick Electra. It was her gift to herself. Successful people drove the Buick Electra. Doctors drove it. Lawyers drove it. Heads of corporations drove it. Until Clark drove a Buick Electra. Thank you.